Hi, it's Splinterverse. Welcome to another episode of D&D New Releases, where we offer first impressions of new third-party products for Dungeons & Dragons. We cover a selection of titles from Dungeon Masters Guild and DriveThruRPG each week. The titles are presented in alphabetical order by site, and all of them are linked in the video description. Purchasing the books using those links helps the channel, but you can also support us by purchasing one of our best-selling books. Our newest release, Swarms of the Multiverse, offers over 70 brand new creatures, including their associated swarms. Plus, you get instructions on how to make your own balanced swarms, and lots of bonus materials such as 4 new demiplanes. We've got lineages suitable for any setting, as well as optional lineage rules in our Van Richten's Librum of Lineages. With our Potions Unlocked book, we have over 100 pages of material to take your potions to the next level in your game. Our Feywild Companion offers 150 pages of Feywild fun for players and DMs. Also, our book, Fizban's Vault of Draconic Secrets, contains over 50 pages of dragon-themed player options, including a subclass for each class and much more. Please support the channel by purchasing one of our books using the links in the video description. Before we talk about this week's new releases, we got to talk about our exclusive discount at Splinterverse this week. And it is awesome. It is the Central Market, a market district DM helper with everything you need for a party wanting to visit a city's marketplace. You know, you never know when the party's going to need to go to a town, or maybe you do know, but in any case, you're going to need to populate it with stores and locations for the characters to visit, especially if you have an urban campaign. You're really going to need that. And so this book by Glenn Watkins is normally 99 cents for the 37 pages, but we're bringing it to you with the Splinterverse discount program for 50% off of that. So what a screaming deal this is. It's an Electrum bestseller. There's definitely a need for this book, and for around 50 cents, you can call it yours. It says, this is a handy resource to keep nearby when your adventure takes you to a major city, because there's always going to be someone who asks if they can find the local bookstore or stone carver. With this tool, you can open to that page and impress them with a full description like you had it planned all along. There's 30 unique stores with descriptions, item tables, backstories, and plot hooks, descriptions of every store and what they are like inside and out, backstories and histories of each store and merchant for when you need to know what the fishmonger did before opening his store, plot hooks for each store. It happens that your players get attached to an NPC and now they can get a quest from that NPC and build a relationship with them. And then there's item tables for each store, so you don't have to worry about what they sell and what the prices are. It's all been done for you, which is so awesome. So let's take a look inside. You can see all the different stores on offer here. You've got the Strong Tongs, which is a blacksmith. You've got Bullseye Arrows, which is a Fletcher. Bob's Butcher. Tens of Peaches, which is fresh fruit and veg. Oglaf's Stoneworks, Magic Shop, Mort's Magnificent Magical Market. I mean, everything you could want. Stables, tattoo parlors, bookshops, carvers, jewelry, leatherworker, fishmongers, musical instruments, and rug shops. I'm just naming a few. There's 30 of them, right? So it gives you an introduction, shows you how to use it, talks about the references to other books. So here you've got Hammerworks Blacksmith, gives you an intro, then you get the owner, then the background of it, some plot hooks, and then here's what they have in stock. So all the different items, how much they cost, a description of it, and then the source. So really helpful. Here's the blacksmith, same structure, and then we've got the tinkerer, magic dealer, and then the bookshop, and then the Pantaloon store. So let's read a little bit about the bookshop for you. It's called the Mighty Quill. It says this is a small bookshop tucked away in a corner of the Central Market. It is run by a grumpy old human by the name of Ignis Fanning. Ignis carries a variety of books, including most of the common books people are after, fiction and nonfiction. However, Ignis also offers many rare books, with a few being magical in nature. Ignis sits at the front counter reading most of the time, and although he mans the counter, he would rather not deal with customers and let his assistant Fernie handle it. Fernie is a furbog that traveled from the mountains to seek books to take back to his tribe. Naive and new to the city, he was saved from some drunkards by Ignis after a misunderstanding out in front of the mighty Quill. Fernie now believes he owes a life debt to Ignis and is paying it off by working at the store. Ignis will buy most books for 50% of their value and can be convinced to purchase magic books for up to 75% of their value. And it says Ignis is a stout, cranky old man with thick tufts of gray hair coming out at odd angles from his head. He wears black robes and his face is set in a permanent frown. After scaring off some drunkards from harassing Fernie out in front of his store, he ended up with Furbog that refuses to leave until his life debt is repaid. The two of them settled on an agreement whereby Fernie work at the store for board and food until Fernie believes the debt is repaid. Ignis secretly likes having the large Furbog around to deal with customers and run the store, but he would never let Fernie know. Fernie is an 8-foot-tall Furbog and is the definition of a gentle giant. He wouldn't hurt a fly and likes talking to people. He's quite soft-spoken for his people and is quite ignorant of the ways of the world. Fernie, so that's the overall description. I love the connection between the two characters and this sort of confusion over, well, when is this life debt going to be paid? Okay, I guess you can work here. Yeah, let me know when it's paid off. It's really funny, but it works out good because Ignis doesn't really want to deal with customers that much anyway. He wants to read his books. So perfect little situation. You can play off of that, role play that a little bit, either with the characters or the DM can have conversations between the two characters potentially. And then you've got the plot hooks here. So this one is Fernie still needs to get the books back to his tribe and let them know what became of him. If the players are heading to any mountains, he will ask them to drop off a package of books and a letter to his family if it isn't out of their way. For this, he will offer them a favor with his tribe that can be exchanged for safe passage through their lands or a guide through the mountains, etc. Very cool. And then we've got stock here, so everything from blank book, ink, pens, etc. And then there's some arcane grimoires, duplicitous manuscripts, and then descriptions as well as the source and the cost. So super, super helpful. I mean, it's one page. If you know you're going to need this shop, you can just print this page off, have it right there, next to your right hand, so you can just pull it up when you need it. Because sometimes you plan to go to a store as part of your campaign, right? So you could have this printed. If not, of course, you could have this whole book and just jump to the store that you need, because there are 30 in here for every need. Like I said, stables, carvers, fletchers, herbalists, tailors. What do you need? It's here, and you can get it all for around 50 cents thanks to Glenn Watkins and the Splinterverse discount program. And remember, these discounts only last for about a week, and by the time we talk about it on Friday, part of that week has elapsed. So you want to make sure you're following every Monday at Splinterverse on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram to get that discount at 10 a.m. Mountain Standard Time. And then, of course, check it out here every Friday as well. And then click that link as soon as you can so you can take advantage of it. It's going to be the first one in the timestamps in the video description. It's also in the pinned comment in the alphabetized list under Central Market. Give it a click. All right, our first new release is City Lights 100 Urban Encounters from 𝘨𝙬𝙬 and Cliff Dunn. It's $1.99 for 28 pages. And it says there are a million stories in the Free City, and these are 100 of them. It's a source book for the Free City of 𝘨𝙬𝙬 campaign setting for 5th edition. In these dozens of pages, you'll find the stuff of legends and plenty of substance to bring a day in the life of your fantasy urban setting to life. These 100 encounters are more than just a series of names and stats. They are standalone adventure hooks in their own right, evoking the hustle, bustle, sights, sounds, danger, intrigue, and excitement of a congested, sophisticated fantasy metropolis with a deep history. Although the encounters are custom written for the 𝘨𝙬𝙬 setting, they are easily adapted to any setting. It's time to encounter the Free City of 𝘨𝙬𝙬. So you get 100 urban encounters, detailed mini scenarios that advance storylines introduced in the more than 25 published 𝘨𝙬𝙬 sourcebooks, and then, of course, the brief overview of the setting. So you can jump in anywhere with the Free City of 𝘨𝙬𝙬 and the Megacontinent of Xul. This drip release strategy by 𝘨𝙬𝙬 has given you the opportunity to get in at a low cost. This is $1.99, for example, for these 28 pages. So you can get introduced to the setting. You can choose to use the materials in these books for that setting, or you can use them elsewhere. And it's just a great system because you're getting new stuff pretty much weekly, every other week or so, for low cost to get into the setting and eventually build up your knowledge to where you could have a vast campaign there. And I mean, with 25 books, you could probably start now having Vateshar be, you know, at least the city of Vateshar, maybe not the whole mega continent yet, but definitely the free city, because there's been plenty of information come out with these drip release books almost every week. So let's take a look inside. So you've got an introduction, of course, and then you get right into these hooks. And I'm just going to do a quick scroll so you can see that this book gives you access to the entirety of them. So you can read all 100 of them and decide if this is going to work for you. But there's so many in here. And one of the things I've always enjoyed about the 𝙤𝙬𝙬𝙬 releases from Cliff is that the writing is really good. So you can enjoy hooks in every one of the releases. But here, there's just such a huge collection of hooks that you're bound to find so many that are going to inspire you. So right off the bat, we got the flower seller and her children. A mother and her children entreat passerby for food and money. The woman holds a baby in her arms while her adorable tween smiles innocently. Any characters not paying attention to their coin purses will be targets for 1d2 thieves. So pretty cool. Then you've got City Worker, Dvorla, the street sweeper, a failed poet. He tried to join the Blackhelm City Watch twice, only to be told he was too tall. In reality, though, his off-putting, intense, and borderline frightening personality and behavior turned off the recruiting officers. If it was ever suggested to him that being too tall isn't a real reason for not being hired by the police, he will look off into space disbelievingly and ask out loud, and mostly to himself, were they lying to me? In the meantime, he is fiercely protective of his street sweeping job, one that he hates but gives him a modicum of authority over one of the least attractive aspects of Vateshar life. It's mounds of uncollected street refuse. Dvorla is a strange egg. Some nights he dons the attire of a clown and walks through the neighborhood hoping to be accosted by pickpockets. It never ends well for the thief. Dvorla will instantly take a liking to anyone who gives him the slightest comradely attention or even just the time of day. So that's an interesting character. So you can use that character as somebody in the background. Oh, there's this weird clown walking down the street at night. And then eventually introduce him fully and have an encounter. Maybe, they're in a tavern and somebody challenges them to go tell that guy he's too tall to be a guard or whatever, and see what he says. So lots of interactions. We're just going to pick one random one more to read here. It says, in an ornate and bejeweled sedan chair and litter being carried by 4 muscular half-orc slowly passes in front of the characters. The silken curtains inside part briefly, revealing an indistinct shape inside. Later that evening, the characters receive an invitation from the litter's occupant, inviting them to dine. So yeah, that could be a mysterious sort of thing that passes them by, and then later there's a call back to that when they get the invitation. So really cool stuff. Some of them are longer than others, but all of them are workable either in the background or as a full-blown encounter. Whatever you want to do, I think it's going to add some life to your urban encounters. And again, remember, you can use this outside of Vateshar. So lots of options here. Look for it in the links under City Lights 100 Urban Encounters in the description below, and give it a click. Next, we have Creed's Codex, Arcane Secrets of the Summoners by Night Vision Creative, and it's $24.99 on sale, normally $30. 5th edition, 123 pages, and it says, play a summoner in 5th edition. It's a player supplement where an adventurer pursuing legend and lore has delved into the secrets of summoners, followed whispers of fearsome weapons wielded by warriors of the Burning Summit, and ventured deep into ruins looking for information on the fabled power of convergence. Detailed are his findings that have been compiled into the supplement, providing a mixture of new mechanics and lore with new options for every player. Make your character feel truly unique with a wealth of choices. Thoroughly play-tested, this content is ready for your campaign. You get the brand new summoning class, a new with 7 subclasses for that summoning class, so that's good. Then you get warlock subclass called the Spirit. You get 11 new armor and weapon options, symbiotic equipment that grows in power alongside your character, armor, weapon, and symbiotic equipment crafting rules, 13 feats, 38 spells, and a new enhanced upcasting mechanic, and the legendary power of convergence. Empower your abilities but risk triggering a cataclysmic event. So lots of fun new options in here, and I love that there's even rules to craft your own symbiotic equipment. So that's super helpful. So you get to see 14 of those 123 pages in the preview, and I'm going to just zoom out so you can see how gorgeous this book is inside. I mean, the cover alone was beautiful, but I mean, it just looks really nice. There's so much artwork, so much to see, lots of information laid out beautifully. So yeah, I love this. I think it looks really fun, and just so much artwork to ogle as you go through. So it says Archon. The Archon has diverged from their neighboring disciplines. Rather than looking for ways to augment their summons, they often look for ways to use their summons to boost their martial prowess. Archons improve upon their physical training and continue to increase their lethality upon the battlefield through direct confrontation, aided by their summon abilities. So this seems to be one of the subclasses for the summoner, because you don't have to start at page 1 when you do a preview on DriveThru, so they're starting later in the book, so you can see some of the subclasses. So this one looks like a cool one. Archon focused on ways, rather than looking for ways to augment their summons, they're looking for ways to boost their martial prowess, so that'd be like a martial summoner. And then let's see what else we got in here. Colossus, which is another type of summoner. It says some summoners choose to focus on a single immensely powerful summon. Because of the undivided focus, these summoners can enhance the single summon to heighten its power to truly monumental levels. Summoners choosing the Colossus field of study are naturally drawn towards researching the most dangerous monsters they can find. So this particular type of summoner is not going to focus on summoning a lot of things, but rather summoning one and pouring everything into that. So that's kind of cool too. Makes sense too. I don't know why people wouldn't do that with summoning. It's perfect that they have that as an option. And again, there's 7 different ones. So there's one called Convergent, and it shows you what they can summon here. They can summon 2 CR 1/2, and then when they get to the certain number of points, they can do 1 CR 1, and then later they get to 1 CR 1/2 summon plus 1 enhancement, and so a whole layout of ways of summoning all the way up to higher options depending on your summoner points. And then you got the convergent summoning tables. So pretty cool, like a hippogriff with 2 enhancements, a death dog with 12 enhancements. So different options. Evolutionists, rather than summoning creatures they have encountered before, those focusing on creating their own personal ideal of a summon, delve deep into the research of the Eidolons. These Eidolons are painstakingly developed by evolutionists to continually improve upon their initial framework in a never-ending quest to create the perfect summon. So yeah, another angle, trying to create those perfect summons. And then you get into minor adaptations, which would be maybe minor things that the Eidolon can have. So it says amphibious, your Eidolon can breathe air and water. Charismatic, perhaps its pheromones, the angular shape of their limbs, their colorful mesmerizing body, or the mystique behind the gnashing teeth. However, something about your Eidolon makes it more attractive to anyone who interacts with it, allowing special bonuses at the GM's discretion. Your Eidolon gains a climbing speed of 30 feet. Your Eidolon communicative, gains the language of your choice. I mean, just so many things that you can put onto your Eidolon, including powerful build. Your Eidolon counts as 1 size larger when determining carrying capacity and the weight it can push, drag, or lift. It can also be used as a mount if physiologically possible to do so. So much going on. So many beautifully laid out subclasses to choose from with a lot of details. So I think this could be a lot of fun. If you've ever wondered what it'd be like to be a summoner, now's your chance. Check it out in the links below. It's under Creed's Codex. Give it a click. Next, we have Curse of the Dreadmarsh Crew, a ready-to-play mini-adventure by Loke Battlemax Mats, set in the Coast of Dread. And it is 50 cents suggested price for 16 pages under Pay What You Want. And it says it's a story as old as time itself: greed, betrayal, very poor planning, zombie pirates, and a dog called Snuffles. To celebrate Halloween, we are releasing the Curse of Dreadmarsh Crew, a 5th edition adventure, as a Pay What You Want title. The adventure is set in the Windward Graveyard on the Coast of Dread, and we join you as you realize something is horribly wrong. A botched robbery has dire consequences, and now you must solve the puzzles, convince the locals you're not about to eat their brains, defeat the zombie pirate captain, and hopefully lift the pesky curse, which you picked up through absolutely no fault of your own. It's for a party of 4 level 2 characters and includes ready-to-use character sheets, backstories, and a handy 5th edition in 5 minutes guide to get you started. So really cool. Love that it's a really affordable price. And so you can see here right at the intro, they've got the introduction to the adventure, and then they've got the 5th edition in 5 minutes sidebar. So it really gives you an overview. Maybe you have a new player you want to try an adventure with, and the rest of the party knows how to play. So you can print this, give it to them, or you can walk through this with them before the other players get there, and give them just sort of a quick overview and then help them as the game goes along, right? So then you get to see one of the cool maps in here, which is this looks like a little graveyard where stuff's going on, maybe a little crypt in there. It says the Windward Cemetery. So let's read about that. It says, before the first encounter and between further encounters in the cemetery, characters can use their limited time to explore and investigate the surroundings. Everyone may do one of the following at these times. Examine the sealed entrance. The seal is a huge slab of immovable rock. A successful investigation check will reveal intricate carvings all around the edges. If an arcana check is passed or comprehend languages is cast, these symbols can be read as following words in this order: moon, eye, crew, and dead. Another thing they can do is search the tomb. A successful perception check reveals a worn old piece of parchment that reads, tricked into stealing the eye, now cursed. If you find this seal started glowing at night, but couldn't figure out how to open the damn thing. So some sort of curse with an eye. So that's a good warning. And then you got search the northwest corner. You get a perception check, will uncover a bottle of sweet perfume left as an offering that is rolled into the undergrowth. And then all kinds of other stuff like hide a body. If they've killed someone and don't want to be found out, they can hide the body. The first body can be hidden in the stone coffin in the tomb, but any more will require an athletics check to hastily bury. Only one body can be buried per player in the time available. So they can even do some evidence hiding if needed. So much to do in that cemetery. I like that. It's a cool little style of giving all sorts of options to do while there. It says those who take the emerald eye out of the Foxbeard's crypt are all struck by the curse of the black mark. Those afflicted by the curse have until the coming dawn to put Foxbeard to rest, or else then they truly die and become more of Foxbeard's black-hand ghouls. So interesting. And then there's this whole information of dealing with the black mark. So pretty cool. I think this could be fun. I love that it's such an affordable price. You get a 16-page adventure for 50 cents or whatever you want to pay. I definitely encourage you to pay something, but very cool. I think I love the cemetery stuff. You get to do all these different things, and so you could even ask the party, well, what do you want to do? And then, you have so many options that pretty much almost anything they pick, you're going to have an option for. So that's cool. Check it out. It's in the video description links under Curse of the Dreadmarsh Crew. Give it a click. Next we have Dreadful Realms, Caverns of the Wise Minister, with this really gorgeous cover. And it's for 5th edition from X-Stasis Games, $14.99 for 125 pages. Lots of authors, including Kat Evans, Laura Evans, Alex Klippinger, and Oliver Darkshire. It says Caverns of the Wise Minister is a dark fantasy setting using 5th edition rules. Halfway between the realms of life and death, a new civilization of lost souls has sprung up under the thrall of a creature older than the gods that calls itself the Wise Minister. In Caverns, you play denizens of the city of Sepulture, descendants of those plucked from their homes on the surface, trying to forge a new life in the darkness of the underworld. If you're clever, quick, and fortunate, and you live long enough to find your niche, you might learn how you got here. Maybe you'll even set things right. Inside the book, you'll find a complete underworld setting, including a detailed guide to the city of Sepulture, plus rules and player options for underworld characters and a 30-page bestiary. And then there's a brief history that you can read here as well, but let's look inside. So gives you the world below, outer locations, the city itself, and then player options and rules, as well as the bestiary. So we're going to get to see 10 of those 125 pages. But I mean, right off the bat, if I zoom out, you can see how gorgeous this is. I mean, look at that beautiful picture of presumably Sepulchre, or the entrance to the city. And then you get adventuring there, life there, safety tools, the world below. Look at that. That's gorgeous artwork as well. And then between life and death and the world above. So really interesting. I think this could be a really fun setting to play in. But let's zoom in and read a little bit more about it. It says, Sepulchre is built on grudges and lies. Stories set here deal with cycles, especially cycles of vengeance and memory. The aboleth, known as the Wise Minister, remembers every offense committed against it and plans to avenge them. The cave elves believe its lies and create a false narrative about their place in the city. Newcomers resent power structures they had no say in, and outsiders try to leave before they get tangled in the city's web of traded favors and obligations. Adventures in Sepulchre, I always have trouble with that word, are stifling. The environment itself constrains Sepulchre's many unwilling citizens. The city has no sky or sun, and dangerous monsters limit how far explorers can range. Complex social knots are even deadlier than what lies beyond. Specific themes include power corrupts, we are all connected, the lies we tell ourselves. So those are great themes. I'll let you read more about that on your own. And then, of course, caught between life and death, because it's kind of a purgatory setting. And then you got people like goblins, cave elves, something called the Rootless, strange featureless humanoids who pass through Sepulchre from elsewhere. Sometimes they travel onwards and sometimes they stay. They remember fragments of their past and identity, and those fragments degrade over time until the Rootless lose all sense of identity and slowly turn to stone. And then it gives you the currency, calendar, all that stuff. And then between life and death, the elves who founded Sepulchre were in search of the realm of the dead. They had no idea how close they were. Before the caverns of the underworld became the Wise Minister's domain, they were the home of the Nyx, whose purpose was to guide souls of the dead through the waterways below the world and into Maylac, the gentle warden's care. The Wise Minister won the Nyx over to its service centuries before the elves arrived, and that era of their history was forgotten. So, interesting. So the sort of natural order of things has been disrupted, and then it talks about what exists above the underworld. So there's empires that span continents and whole land masses that have no concepts of nations, island chains, etc. I think this is just beautifully illustrated, and you're going to get 125 pages to really explore the setting with player options as well. So I think $14.99 is a really good price to get all of that. And the creators behind it are awesome, so I'm sure it's going to be fun, well written from what I can read, and beautifully illustrated as well. So I love it. Check it out. It's under Dreadful Realms in the links below. Give it a click. Next, we have Elderspeech from Little Red Goblin Games. It's $4.99 for Pathfinder First Edition. So that should also work for 3.5 or third edition as well. It says, true speech, power of words, true names, and other forms of magical language are omnipresent in our myths and legends. Magic titles and words of power have tremendous power when backed by a bit of magic and the will to enforce it. The Elderspeech system for Pathfinder First Edition creates a unique system to create a flexible but not overly complex, like power words system for use in your game. So you get the Elderspeech subsystem, 3 new base classes, 7 new feats, and then base classes you get linguist, masters of language who can speak with anyone and can employ Elderspeech to influence the actions of their foes. True namers, spellcasters able to decipher a foe's true name and pick them apart with superpowered spells if they know the right words in Elderspeech to describe their target. And then you get epithet, a student of Elderspeech who modifies their own true name to make a super flexible character who can fill many roles. So very cool, and it's bookmarked as well, so that's helpful. So looking here at the pages, it's beautifully illustrated, and it's giving you a lot of intro info here, and then we get right into the overview. says there's a fundamental and universal language that accurately describes all things in the universe known as Elderspeech. This language is infinitely complex as life is and can more accurately be described as something akin to cosmic mathematics. To describe something in Elderspeech is to know it on a fundamental level, and to name something in it is to exert power over it. So yeah, you're going to use Elderspeech to really take control of some enemies, to improve power, all of that stuff. So discern true name, for example, make a linguistics Elderspeech check. The DC is 10 plus the target's will save. If successful, you have learned the creature's true name. If you fail, you cannot attempt this against the same creature for an hour. Knowing a creature's true name grants you a +4 insight bonus on any intelligence, wisdom, or charisma-based skill checks made against them within the next hour. So pretty cool. And you can also try to hide a true name. Then you got feats like Elderspeech education. You've been tutored in Elderspeech, linguistics 3 ranks, and at least one of the following: knowledge arcana 3 ranks, knowledge planes 3 ranks, knowledge religion 3 ranks, and spellcraft 3 ranks, or ability to cast second level spells of any sort. You can make a linguistics Elderspeech checks, and you count as an elder. So lots of details to this. And then it says dictionary of elder words, and things like running. So that means creatures who have taken a move action to move other than a 5-foot step within the last round, or attacking creatures who have taken an attack action or otherwise made an overly hostile action within the last minute. So it's cool that they've got this dictionary where it's individual words that mean something else. Like smart is creatures who have 18 or higher intelligence. Scared, creatures who are suffering from a fear effect. Yeah, I mean, you wouldn't say the creature has a frightened condition, right? You would say they're scared. So that makes sense that they've kind of boiled it down to what would work in game as the words. So really cool, and I love the artwork and the layout. It's really nicely done. These borders are beautiful. I think it's just a really fun concept. It's always nice to think about the power of words. They do have a lot of power, and they can influence things even in the real world. So playing with that concept in the game could be a lot of fun. So if you play Pathfinder 1, or you're skilled at adapting Pathfinder 1 to 5th edition, you should check this out. It's under Elderspeech, and our links below. Give it a click. Next we have Eyes in the Dark, with this really fun cover of these eyes coming out of pretty much nowhere. And it's a low-tier one-shot adventure by Elven Tower and the Fluffy Folio. So it says, this adventure supplement is a special collaboration with another creator we feel fortunate to call a friend, the Fluffy Folio. In the Eyes in the Dark, a group of level 3 characters travels to Haverton, a city beside the Firefly River. The recent earthquake in the area caused some landslides that revealed a cavern network where the river meets the mountains. The people of Haverton did not know of this place. However, in a similar way, a new world appeared for the indigenous monsters of these caverns. Nothing good came out of this. Curious children got lost, and city guards lost their lives. Too many people have gone missing in the past 4 weeks. Haverton looks for external help and offers a hefty reward to anyone who can eliminate all threats in the cave. The adventurers may also be hired by Nicholas Fluffus, a famous biologist who wishes to study the monsters within the cave. So pretty fun. I like the concept. You can see the really cool artwork. You got the eye stingers coming at you. You got a printer-friendly version, separate high-res maps, and the maps with Elven Tower are always wonderful. But I mean, 95 cents for these 6 pages. I mean, that's a really good deal. It says, and remember, eye stingers only follow their most primal instincts, but brain sharks are incredibly cunning. They even talk and communicate with telepathy. Ooh, okay, gotta watch out for those. So you got your adventure hooks, and then here's a really fun map. Elven Tower always kills it with the maps. I mean, look at there's this river flowing through these caverns, and you've got some sort of grassy area, but then you've got some darker tunnels that don't have any grass in it, and then you've got the water flowing. You could just do so much with just this map. Even if you don't run this adventure, I think this map could be really inspirational for creating your own adventure as well. And you're going to get that, including in high res, for the 95 cents. features of the Caverns, and then here's that awesome 𝙬𝙬𝙬𝙬. It says, playfully floating through the sky, this hairy eyeball is more dangerous than it might look. Although it doesn't mean to do any harm, it can't resist engaging in a staring contest with whoever is unfortunate enough to spot it. Unfortunately, for most, its gaze is just as mesmerizing as destructive. Putting up a fight to evade the mind-shattering glare, however, may quickly escalate to a much less desirable situation. By sharpening its otherwise exceptionally fluffy hair, the 𝙬𝙬𝙬's defensive trait further demonstrates the origin of this particular creature's name. So it's soft spotter. 𝙬𝙬𝙬 are often observed to be accompanied by considerable amounts of brain sharks. So, gotta watch out. It's a CR1, and it's got some fun abilities, including hair raising. As long as the 𝙬𝙬𝙬 is prone, it switches to a defensive state by hardening and sharpening its hair. If the 𝙬𝙬𝙬 enters a creature space for the first time on a turn, or vice versa, that creature must succeed on a dex saving throw or take piercing damage. Further, a creature that touches the 𝙬𝙬𝙬 or hits it with a melee attack takes piercing damage. And then staring contest, the 𝙬𝙬𝙬 initiates a wisdom contest with a creature it can see within 20 feet of it. If the 𝙬𝙬𝙬 wins the contest, that creature takes psychic damage and is blinded until the start of its next turn. So I love that. I love the flavor of the actions as well. So you have staring contest. I mean, that's perfect for an 𝙬𝙬𝙬, right? And then you've got all these different rooms with details. Here's that brain shark. Look at how cool it is. It's a CR1 as well with a brain bite ability. I'm not going to read all of it because you can come here and read the whole adventure. And then if you like it, you can pay just 95 cents to get not only this adventure, but remember, you're getting this awesome map that you can use and variations of it, high res or low res for your VTT. You can use it outside of this. So love it. Check it out. It's under Eyes in the Dark in the links below. Give it a click. Next, we have Grizelda's Guide to Ghost Hunting for 5th edition from Scoundrel Game Labs and author T.A. Gray. I want to tell you, this book, I backed it on Kickstarter, and it's so cool. I was so happy to get my copy and excited that it was a Kickstarter. But now it's available for anyone who missed the Kickstarter, and it's $20, normally $24.95. So it's on sale. It's 134 pages, and it says Grizelda's Guide to Ghost Hunting is a hardcover tome packed with content that brings the incorporeal undead to life in your next 5th edition campaign. Discover a haunted bestiary, loads of player options, new magic items, tools for building ghost hunting guilds, and DM tools for immersing your players in ghostly adventures and investigations. So yeah, it's definitely 5th edition. I know that because I have it too. TA, if you're watching, you're missing the 5th edition checkbox over here. So it shows 5th edition compatible on the right-hand side as well. But that's okay. We're telling you about it. It's got 5th edition, 12 new subclasses, 20 plus fully illustrated monsters and NPCs. And let me tell you, having got the full book, the art is phenomenal. I mean, you saw the cover. It looks perfectly beautiful. Then you've got this one down here that we're looking at. Gorgeous. The whole book is like that. The artwork is just top notch. I really am so impressed with what I got for my money in the Kickstarter. You get 5 ghost hunting guilds. How cool is that? DM tips for haunted campaigns, new mechanics for seances, mediums, and haunts, new magic items, sidekicks, feats, spells, and more. So there's a number of things I can think of that you could pair this book with. Of course, Ravenloft, all the different things there. You could have ghost hunting going on in Ravenloft. It's perfect for that. There was also an awesome book on DM scale that we covered called Journey of the Spirit Walker. All of that book, everything in there could pair perfectly with this. I mean, this is just, and on its own, this book is great. You never know when you're going to need to do ghost hunting, or you're going to want to have something very related to incorporeal undead, ghosts, banshees, wraiths, whatever it is. This book has got it all for you. So there was a full-size preview, but it looks like it might be missing right now. So we're going to just zoom in on this sample page here so we can read a little bit for you. So they've got some rank 2 here for a researcher. It says prerequisite rank 1 and renowned 10 or higher in the collective. So this would be maybe being part of these guilds. After spending your time cataloging supernatural phenomena and spirit touched objects on behalf of higher ranking members, you earn the right to perform research on your own. Only a select few researchers are chosen from the arcanographers of each local conclave. As a researcher, you can rely on the assistance of 1d4 arcanographers during your investigations. These NPCs are there to help you with your guild-related work, but do not take part in overly dangerous situations such as combat. The collective also provides you with access to reasonable amounts of materials and equipment for any research you conduct. And then you've got rank 3 luminary. As a conclave luminary, you serve as an informal advisor to the conclave chief. While this is not a formal position, you have the ear of the chief and can ask for favors at any time. You also have earned the respect of the arcanographers of your conclave, who are willing to follow you into the most dangerous of circumstances if your research requires it. And then it just keeps going up, and eventually you get to find out about the leadership. The current leader is Paragon Proudbeard. Life has always been an adventure for Paragon Proudbeard. After spending years exploring the world, Paragon brought his adventuring career to an end by settling down in his childhood home. Quickly growing bored, Paragon began tinkering and inventing. Eventually, his ability to marry technology with magic turned his second career into a successful one. A chance encounter with a haunted object changed Paragon's life forever. Since that fateful day, he has dedicated his life to the investigation, study, and removal of harmful haunted items and the spirits that inhabit them. So, and it goes into more detail about him, perks, and then you get into guild magic, which as a member in good standing of the collective, a spellcaster gains access to powerful magic that assists them with investigating the supernatural. Each of the following spells are added to the spell list of your spellcasting class. If you multi-class, these spells are available on the list of each of your classes that include spellcasting. So you get guidance, access to guidance, expeditious retreat, enhance ability, gaseous form, freedom of movement, and creation. So fun stuff. And I mean, look at the art for this Paragon Proudbeard. Really cool monocle going on. Yeah, I really love this book. I'm so glad I backed it on Kickstarter, and I hope you check it out. I think it's just packed full of stuff that you can pull out and use, whether it's the guilds, or you want to have the monsters and the NPCs, or you want to experiment with the subclasses. I mean, there's just so many different things, different magic items, different sidekicks, different mechanics. I mean, anything and everything you could ever want for ghosts or other incorporeal undead is packed into this book with beautiful, beautiful art and layout. So easy to read, and you just want to eye the art for a long time. So check it out. It's under Grizelda's Guide to Ghost Hunting in the links below. Give it a click. Next, we have Jewel of the Indigo Isles Player's Guide from Stephen Glicker, Patrick Rennie, and Mark Seifter, with William Fisher, Paul Hughes, and David N. Ross. It's also from Roll for Combat, and it's for 5th edition, and it's free. It says that you also, by the way, if you're looking at this Roll for Combat, you've got it tagged for 2nd edition. You might want to add the 5th edition compatible checkbox for Dungeons and Dragons too, so more people can find it. This looks awesome with all the artwork you can see here. I mean, look at all these different creatures. So fun, so sort of jungle themed. I love the beautiful art here. And it says, filled with 6 unique backgrounds to use in the Jewel of the Indigo Isle campaign or any 5th edition campaign, is full of build advice for your character and a treasure trove of information that residents know about the city of Rumplank. Heck, even if you're playing in a Jewel of the Indigo Isles Adventure Path campaign, the free gazetteer for the city of Rumplank is worth it for the download alone. And I mean, it's free, right? So you might as well grab it. Even if you don't use anything in it, you can look through it and maybe get inspiration, or like I said, use some of it. So pretty cool. Look at these fun jungle treasure theme borders, really cool. It goes through how to build your character, races, classes, suggested character options. So got the different races here and the classes, deities, languages, etc. Religion, campaign backgrounds like a bluebell chef, and suggested characteristics, so you get your typical background information. Yeah, pretty cool. Suggested characteristics with artwork here. So let's pick one of these to read. So Indigo Pirate. You've always wanted to be a pirate, and someday you'll have stories of your own escapades, just like the legendary gilded pirate of Rumplank, Poppy von Barnacle. First, though, you'll need a crew, and of course, that a ship would be nice. So you get history, intimidation, or persuasion as your skill proficiency. You get one type of gaming set or vehicles, water vehicles. You actually get both of those, Vehicles of Water, for tool proficiency, and then it gives you a list of equipment. And your feature is pirate lore. You've spent years listening to tales of sea monsters, shipwrecks, and buried treasure. You've heard every story a typical pirate would be familiar with, though you may not know how much truth lies behind any such legend. Most of what you've learned is either legend or hopelessly out of date, but if you spend an hour or two wandering the docks or drinking at the local watering holes, you inevitably catch wind of more current, reliable news. Indigo pirates are drawn to the freedom of adventure that a life on the high seas promises, though those who romanticize piracy sometimes grow disillusioned once they experience the harsh realities of such an existence. So I'm going to read the first personality trait, the first ideal, bond, and flaw for you. So I love hearing exciting stories, especially those that involve pirates. So that's your personality. And then ideal, honor, laws don't mean much to me. Instead, I live by a personal code of conduct that I never violate. Bond is I idolize a specific pirate captain and would do anything to join their crew. And then the flaw is there's no room aboard a pirate ship for mercy or forgiveness. So yes, that would be a flaw, big flaw. You've got Indigo Historian and the Bluebell Chef as other backgrounds in here. So even just to get a few backgrounds, I mean, I think this is so cool and fun and colorful. I'm going to grab it as well. So you should get yours. I mean, it's free, and maybe you'll want to do more with the Indigo Isles. So check it out. It's under Jewel of the Indigo Isles in the links below. Give it a click. Next, we have Lake of Dust by Steve Winter for Frog God Games for 5th edition, and it's $13.99 for the PDF, or you can get a softcover for $26.99, or both for $28.99, and it's 32 pages. It says, deep in the trackless wastes of an arid desert lies the dusty bed of an ancient dried-up lake. It's home to a clan of feisty gnolls who don't exactly lay out the welcome mat for outsiders, but the adventurers are on a mission. The dead lake also hides the ruins of strange, forgotten temples, places that even the ferocious gnolls fear to tread. Who built these labyrinthine passages and dusty chambers, and what secrets do they hide? Once the adventurers have won the gnolls' respect, or at least their tolerance, the ruins lie open for exploration. Inside are the answers to the mysteries of the temple's origins and the fate of their builders. But even armed with this knowledge, can the heroes survive the challenges that lie beneath the Lake of Dust? So very, very cool intro. I like this idea that there's this Lake of Dust and there's these gnolls, and then there's all this connection to the fate of the builders and this temples. And I mean, it's just a really nice, brings you into the setting. And it seems well written from what we've read so far. So let's look inside. So you get the background, the hooks, the gnoll camp, inside the temples, like all the different locations. And then, of course, you have an appendix with creatures and items. So you get some 𝘬𝙬𝙬𝙬 desiccants. You've got magical and mundane items like the Howling Skull, the Kraken Scale Cincture, the Mermaid's Caress. So fun stuff. And then some NPCs as well in another appendix. So, and this is for 5th level characters, by the way. It gives you the background, 𝘬𝙬𝙬 language, information on that, some hooks, and then you get the Wasteland Trek, which includes some encounters, so you can roll on those. And then the Gnoll Camp with this cool map of the Gnoll Camp, and the different temples, and how to deal with stealth, all that good stuff. So let's go back up here and read a little bit of the hooks, because those seem pretty fun. It says characters are with the caravan crossing the desert, either as guards or as paying travelers, and the caravan is attacked by gnoll bandits. The attack is driven off without much loss, but some important travelers are captured and carried off. Few fates are worse than falling into the hands of gnolls, so Friends of the Missing People offer a 3,000 GP reward for their rescue. You can negotiate it up or down as needed, and one of these friends is a sage who provides the Howling Skull. This rescue mission leads characters to the Gnolls camp and the temple caves, of course. And then if you play The City That Dripped Blood before this adventure, the residents of Temelpa could mention this abandoned temple to the characters as an old wasteland legend. person telling the tale either knows someone who saw the site or might even have seen it firsthand. Alternatively, the gnolls from that adventure could be from this camp and could inadvertently lead characters to it. Players can find or be given the Howling Skull and Tamalpa. So basically, you could have a previous adventure. If this is a level 5 adventure, you could have a tier 1 adventure as long as they end at level 5. And somebody there can mention, hey, there's a temple and, here's a Howling Skull, or you could find the Howling Skull on the way to the temple. Another option is characters are hired by a member of the Collegium Etheria to accompany them on an expedition into the wasteland. Familiarize yourself with the Collegium's background in Appendix B and start the adventure using agents of the Collegium. So that could be another fun way in. They're really giving you some good options here, and I love that they're even giving you the 𝘏𝙬𝙬 language. It says it's impossible for land-dwelling creatures to speak intelligibly without using magic. This isn't because of its complexity, it's just relatively simple language. But 𝘏𝙬𝙬 speech consists of vibrations in water instead of air. Human vocal cords are built for pushing air. They can't do much more than create bubbles underwater. Likewise, 𝘏𝙬𝙬 vocal apparatus is next to useless out of the water. So really cool. I love that they're thinking through that. They're giving you sort of some options. It says through sign language, comprehend languages, telepathy, or similar magic is how you basically end up talking to them. But I love that. So cool, and some really cool encounters. I mean, encounters are always great in an adventure like this table of encounters here, because you can use that outside of this adventure. Maybe you have another desert situation and you're like, I don't have time to come up with a list of encounters. You can just pull this out. If it's the right, level range, right? You could pull this out and reuse it, or you could bump it up if you're skilled as a DM in doing that. So love that. And the art is beautiful in here. Got a whole no camp to deal with, and diplomacy, stealth, magic, intimidation. I mean, really nicely sectioned out to give you options, because every party's different, right? They're going to do different things. So I love that the author has given you like, well, if you're dealing with stealth or you're trying to use diplomacy, here's kind of what's going to happen. So they've really prepped you well in here. And as usual, Frog God Games is really quality stuff, and I love that it's print on demand as well. So check it out. It's under Lake of Dust in the links below. Give it a click. Next, we have Magnificent Mythologies, The Minstrel's Tale, and it is $4.99 for 10 pages from Realmwarp Media and authors Morno, Maxine Mies, and 𝙤𝙬𝙬𝙪𝙧𝙬𝙬. And it says, it's an effort by the Foundation for Inclusivity in Gaming to bring BIPOC and marginalized culture into the mainstream and provide them with publishing support. It airs regularly on Twitch. Minstrel's Tale is a one-shot adventure balanced for 4 13th level characters and is written and designed by Maxine Mies, Momo, a TTRPG designer, bringing heavy influences of their culture to the adventure. Called to a village to help its leaders seek out the Great Serpent of Wisdom, the party must defeat the terror in the forest and convince the Great Serpent of their worth as leaders to help stabilize the village. If they fail, they incur the wrath of the Great Serpent itself. So I love this series because historically, people from any culture have written about cultures to which they don't belong and potentially perpetuated falsehoods or stereotypes, etc. And so I think it's always good to involve someone of that culture if you can, so that you can bring some realism, avoid stereotypes, maybe just bring realism or truth, because a lot of things get distorted or perverted as they echo out into other cultures, right? So if you have someone actually from that culture being involved in the project, then you can really get that truth, and you can avoid just making generalizations or butchering maybe a beloved legend for somebody. I mean, you got to remember, especially when you use legends from other cultures and stuff, those are special to people. And so if you butcher it because you think you're, a great writer and you just think you can write about anything, it's disappointing. It's fine to look at another culture and be inspired and then create something totally different and make sure it's very distinct from the original culture. But if you're going to write about an existing Earth culture, you want to make sure that you work with somebody, even if it's just them as a reader or a consultant, or preferably as a writer, But even if you can get somebody in there as a consultant. So I love efforts like what Realm War Media does to really encourage these cultures to get out there with their books and express it and get it in a published way that you can appreciate it from the source. So this one, Minstrel's Tale, it says it's balanced for a party of 4 13th level characters and can be run as a one-shot or inserted into any setting in a larger campaign. And it says this adventure unfolds in 3 parts, and the story arcs are as follows. In Chapter 1, the characters are summoned to help 𝙽𝙤𝙤𝙦 get to the caves and are able to participate in a preparation and celebration feast before an attack by a Bigfoot-like creature. In Chapter 2, the characters must reconcile with their past in order to reach the cave of 𝙤𝙤𝙢𝙪 amid divergent paths. In Chapter 3, the party learns the truth about 𝙤𝙤𝙢 through an encounter with the great beast. They help 𝙽𝙤𝙤𝙢 gain the wisdom he is seeking and maybe obtain some for themselves. So, pretty cool. I like the structure of that. So, getting to see 9, so basically all the pages of the adventure, because it's a 10-page adventure, so the only thing missing from the preview is the cover, but you can see that outside of the PDF here. So you get the stat blocks. The 𝙤𝙤𝙢 avatar is a CR 15 with some regional effects on it, and Lofa is a CR 13 with some bonus actions, and then you got a subclass, which is the Warlock 𝙤𝙤𝙢 Patron. So that's also a nice bonus. It's awesome to get a player option in the middle of an adventure. Love that. And then you get something called the Circlet of 𝙤𝙤𝙢. It's a wondrous item, rare, requires achievement by a bard, cleric, warlock, or wizard. Any spells or abilities that are divination based or that attempt to contact, invoke a divinity are amplified. Their duration and range are doubled. You know the divination spell, always have it prepared and can cast it as a ritual. That's awesome. I love that item. Really helpful. So yeah. So let's read a little bit about Chapter 1 real quickly. It says the characters arrive in the large village of 𝘽𝙤𝙤𝙤𝙤. They responded to the call and presented themselves in front of 𝙽𝙤𝙤𝙤𝙤. 𝙽𝙤𝙤𝙤 invites them to share in the feast that has been laid out. The feast is a celebration of the journey that 𝙽𝙤𝙤𝙤𝙤 is about to take to gain the wisdom necessary to help the village. During the feast, and the adventurers should feel free to mingle with each other and various guests. The GM should help the characters explore their backstories with NPCs at the feast. Here are a few options. So Tawana, an inquisitive, curious, and kind daughter of the chef. She wants to know all about their previous adventures. Miko, chief of the village, caring and empathetic leader, warm and wise, jovial and daring. The chief wants to know about the character's greatest feat. So a number of characters, and you can reuse some of these concepts, with different characters of like, okay, there's a character that wants to know about the previous adventures. There's a character that wants to know about the greatest feat. So some reusability here too as well. It says sometime during the feast, after the GM has gained all the necessary information, Tawana is quietly kidnapped by Lofa, an indigenous flesh-eating version of Bigfoot. No check will be necessary because the characters will see this happening. The characters should be enticed to attack Lofa. Once the adventurers defeat Lofa and save Tawana, they can head to bed, ready to face the journey to the caves in the morning. So pretty cool. Some nice art for Lofa. Yeah, I think this is fun. And you're going to learn about another culture and support this effort to really bring other voices to the forefront, so we can have diversity, which is awesome. So check it out. It's under the Minstrel's Tale, under Magnificent Mythologies, in the links below. Give it a click. Well, that's our last drive-through title for the week. Before we move on to DM's Guild, I want you to know that we are working on a massive Dragonlance book that's coming out later this year. We're very, very close now to its release, and I want you guys to make sure you're following us everywhere at Splinterverse, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, and of course subscribed here to the channel so that you can find out about that book when it comes out, as well as all the other things we have going on. If you could please like the video for the algorithm, leave us a comment. I will respond to each comment personally, and share the video on your social media and with your friends so that we can get more eyeballs on this and people can find out that there are truly so many wonderful third-party creations every single week out there to supplement your gaming table. That's really important to get out there. And speaking of that, please click the links in the video description to support all these creators and buy their books, leave them reviews, follow them on social media. And of course, if you purchase anything after you click those links, even if it's a book we didn't talk about, you're going to be supporting the channel with a small affiliate fee. So we really appreciate it when you do your shopping with us. And we have 6 books we've already released that you can help us by purchasing as well. You can find out about those at splinterverse.com or in the links below. We have all 6 of those, including Swarms of the Multiverse, which is over 180 pages in print or digital, devoted to swarms, how to make your own balanced swarms for 5th edition, 70 new creatures that have some sort of connection to swarms, whether they summon swarms, create swarms themselves, or command swarms. They're all there, totaling 140 stat blocks. Then we've got adventure hooks for every single creature, combat tactics, so you have a playlist of what to do with their stat block if you want to use that, lore, corresponding things like magic items, diseases, demiplanes, you name it, it's there. We've given a lot of time to all the creatures in there so you can really integrate them into your campaign. And the hooks alone will help you do that, but there's just so much to read in there, including other types of swarms, such as environmental swarms, where they don't even have hit points. They're more of like a hazard or a puzzle that you have to deal with. So those can be a lot of fun too. So check that out, Swarms of the Multiverse. Then we have our platinum best-selling Feywild Companion, which is over 150 pages in print or digital, and it takes you into the Feywild, which is the Fey realm, and it has a brand new domain of delight called Dualis with a map of the domain, its own archfey, and all sorts of things going on there for you. And we've got monsters, we've got player subclasses that are Fey themed, we've got spells, magic items, a brand new type of consumable, ways to alter monster size in a balanced way. We've got adventures, encounters. It's all there, including VTT maps as well. So you'll want to check that out. And it is in the links under Feywild Companion. Then we've got Fizban's Vault of Draconic Secrets, also a platinum bestseller. And it's got everything you could want that is dragon themed. So dragon themed subclasses, one for each of the main classes, including Artificer. We've got a brand new familiar, trinkets, magic items, horde magic items, additional draconic gifts, plot hooks for everything in the book, so that even if it's player focused, the DM can turn it into an NPC or something else. And then we've got Van Richten's Librum of Lineages, which goes into the new concept of lineages introduced in Van Richten's Guide to Ravenloft, and it gives you 4 distinct conflict-driven lineages that you can use in any campaign. These are really fun to play as, because you start right away with some conflict, internal conflict that you have to role play and work through as you navigate through the world. It's very personal compared to typically picking a race, which is more broad and it's like a whole culture. A lineage is very personal, and so you can really enjoy and experience that with these 4 conflict-driven lineages. And then we've also got rules on how to string multiple lineages together for a fun experience, or how to remove a lineage if you get tired of it or the character gets tired of it. You can change them back into what they were, or various other options we've got in the book for you. Then we've got Potions Unlocked, which is print or digital. It's over 100 pages of potion fun, making potions interesting instead of just, oh, I take a potion of healing, oh, I take a potion of healing. It gives you the taste, the smells, the labels, the mishaps, the optional rules for dealing with potions, and then 30 brand new potions with gorgeous artwork and short stories for each of them, explaining how they came into existence, that you can turn into an encounter, or have a vendor just tell the person purchasing the potion or being given the potion what the backstory is. That could be so fun if you like animated DMing where you're giving a story in the voice of a character. This would be great opportunities for that. Also, how to craft potions. And then we've got all sorts of potion locations and vendors with maps, so you can make a whole potion themed campaign, including a potion shop with two floors of maps and NPC vendors with fully stocked vendor lists, so you don't have to look that up. You got everything there if people want to purchase stuff while they're there. So really fun. I mean, anything and everything you could want for potions, including plants that can be used to craft the potions, are included in there, so you can use those plants throughout your fantasy setting as well, and really make it feel fantastical. So that's under Potions Unlocked. And then lastly, we have Secrets of the Draugr, which was our first book where we combined the Drow and the Duergar into a brand new race that has really a different culture than you would expect from those 2 races, as well as its own fortune telling method, its own deities, subclasses, fun stuff in there, including some backgrounds and NPCs as well. So check out that book under Secrets of the Draugr. All right, that's my spiel for this week. Let's move on to DM's Guild. First, we have Ananthia Campaign Guide by Alex Brandon, and it's billed as a new Forgotten Realms continent. It's 160 pages for $9.95, and it says it's wonderfully crafted setting for your Forgotten Realms adventure. It includes a 160-page book, of course, 18 subregions hosting 46 major settlements, their cultures, history, and status within the continent-wide storyline, printable maps, 4 new classes and subclasses, 6 new spells, new region-specific racial traits, 2 new materials for magic items, 4 new monsters and variations, and a bonus supplement with an in-depth look at the continent's largest city. And there's even a little video you can watch on it. And yeah, it's pretty impressive to have so many pages. And they give you both a publisher preview and a regular preview. But I felt like this preview, which is the publisher preview, had a little bit more mechanics in it, so I thought we'd look at that one together. But you can see that there's a lot of detail on the different areas, different peoples of this new continent, some fun maps. You can see East Watch, North Watch, Dead City, and then you've got the Delamer Plains with different places like Thormorel and Orgoth, new spells, and then a creature called a Swamp Spawn, which is a CR2, and then some stat blocks of some NPCs, it looks like. So CR9, CR5 with publisher previews, they can show excerpted pages throughout the book. So that's why we're kind of jumping around in this preview. But I like those because it really gets you the opportunity to look at a variety of the book's contents as opposed to just like the first chunk or something. So very cool. So it says, Ananthian Mountains, the continent's most notable landmark, features peaks higher than 10,000 feet, which can be spotted from the sea a whole day before its shores appear on the horizon. This is a naturally inhospitable region, home to the infamous immeasurable Overlord Lake, and anyone found there without very good cause for their call can expect a hostile greeting. Ruled by the Archlich, self-styled the Overlord, and his right hand, General Bezin, it does not receive outside visitors and assumes any foreigner is an intruder under penalty of death or worse. So that could be an interesting place for the characters. Maybe they could shipwreck there and have to deal with the fact that they're in an inhospitable region, or they could just have a reason to go there and be told over and over, there's death penalties for things there. You got to be really careful. You don't want to anger the Overlord. So that could be fun. There's a lot more information here on it, but I'm going to let you come here and read that. You've got the Delamer Plains. The plains extend for some 500 miles, enjoy fair, pleasant weather year-round and reasonably fertile soil. It is a welcoming region as far as its residents are concerned, and the elves were the first to occupy it. The ancient Delamer Forest once reached as far as the west coast, but today only the pockets of Silwood and Kellum survive. So interesting. Elven area with parts of it have only survived, so you could delve into the history of that and why that happened. It looks like there was an exodus, so really cool. And then there's an Elven coast, and then it got some new spells here. So let's look at Wild Magic Hex, which is a 5th level evocation, and it's concentration up to 1 minute with a range of 60 feet. It says this dangerous evocation is the result of Westshard's mystic influence over generations of Ananthian sorcerers, but wizards and warlocks in time gained access to it as well. When cast upon one creature within range, the target must succeed on a charisma saving throw or be engulfed by a shapeless, ever-changing mass of wild arcane energy that marks them and corrupts their connection to the weave. And yeah, that's pretty cool. We don't see the end of the spell, so I can't tell you what else it does, but I like the flavor of that and how connected it is to the weave and stuff. A lot of spells are more generic in their description, so it's cool to sometimes see a spell that has more lore associated with it. You got a Swamp Spawn here. It says when the Overlord displayed the devastating power of his weapon lake on the garden city of Waverion, the water soaked the land into a permanent marsh. But something carried in the water and over the years transformed what little life endured, corrupting once peaceful creatures and people into swamp spawns. So pretty cool. And they have a whole hive awareness ability where they can telepathically communicate, or I guess looks like telepathically receive commands from the swamp entity, which senses the presence of intruders, so they can use that to detect the party if they're traipsing through there. But really fun artwork throughout, and just so many pages devoted to this whole new continent. So it could be a lot of fun. I like the maps. I think the maps are especially well done, and you can see it's really nicely laid out. A lot going on, and great price for 160 pages, $9.95. So check it out. It's in the video description links under Ananthia Campaign Guide. Give it a click. Next, we have Blood of the Wolf, including an alternate ecology of werewolves by Jack Kellum and of Gods and Game Masters. It's 19 pages for $2.99. And it says it's a new take on werewolves and why they act the way they do, with 11 new monsters, including the first werewolf in the aspect of Fenrir, as well as the non-evil natural werewolves, plus Fenrir as a god. So very cool. And you can see here's like the table of contents. So there's going to be an abyssal tiefling werewolf, a cloud giant werewolf, a dwarven werewolf, feral halfling werewolf, and a bunch of others here. So that's super helpful to have all these stat blocks, as well as some lore, alternate lore on how the werewolves function. So that's this page here. It says the werewolf, a juxtaposition of man and beast, reviled and vilified in myth and legend, very often used as an analogy of man's inhumanity to man. In Dungeons and Dragons and related games like Pathfinder, they have a long, dark history. Let's get into it. From the very first, in D&D, werewolves have been evil monsters affected by a disease like curse. Lycanthropy turns them into raging, bloodthirsty beasts, and those who embrace it gain control only at the cost of becoming evil in their humanoid or giant form as well, usually. They are also listed as chaotic evil, so they are disorganized, violent, hateful, of both goodness and order, other than occasional exceptions like the worshippers of Saloon and Lithari. In favor in this characterization has stayed solid, but the 3.5 monster manual hints that this is arbitrary. And the author goes on about the history and how it could be different. And I think that's great because, if you've noticed in the newer WotC releases, the alignment, for example, says typically this. So they're acknowledging that you can't generalize with a lot of these creatures that they're going to always be chaotic evil or always be lawful neutral or always be whatever the alignment is, right? And so it's pretty cool to see them expand upon that here with this alternate ecology. And I just started with the history. It goes into the alternate sort of take on it, so that's cool. And then you got the abyssal tiefling werewolf, CR4, with some reactions, abilities like regeneration, shape changer, of course, but they've got a lashing tail reaction. And it says the abyssal tiefling werewolf is a descendant of a long line of tieflings who claim the heritage of the great wolf Fenrir, a monstrous titan who bears the mantles of both god of werewolves and demon lord of the same. Note that they are quite capable of using booming blade on any of their natural weapons. And then cloud giant werewolf CR26, so that could be a massive big bad for you to deal with. And surprising because most people aren't going to expect the cloud giant to turn into a wolf, right? So that could be really, we'll take down this cloud giant for you, and then they realize it's more than that. You got the dwarven werewolf CR6, elven werewolf CR6 as well, feral halfling werewolf CR4, natural werewolf CR4, wolfkin CR4, orc werewolf CR6, and Ulf Demon, aka Lycan, CR12, and then the first werewolf, who is CR23. And then you've got the aspect of Fenrir, so that would be, basically a god almost, or their avatar, and it's 30 CR, so very cool. Lair actions for that. It says when fighting inside its lair, the aspect of Fenrir can invoke the ambient magic to take lair actions. Like Fenrir may simply choose to appear behind any creature affected by his hunter's mark, regardless of distance inside his home lair. Fenrir howls, calling 1d6 wolf demons to his aid. They appear and may act immediately, acting on his initiative. And he can also, it says Fenrir gapes wide his jaws and snaps down the moon that rides above his home lair, casting all in darkness. The entire plane is affected as if by a darkness spell for 1 minute, with Fenrir regurgitating the moon at the end of this duration. He need not concentrate on the spell. So that's very cool looking, that there's this moon that sort of floats above his lair. So very cool. And then you've got Fenrir as a god, like the descriptions of it, and, domains and history and connections, so that if you want to have a cleric worship Fenrir, you can do that. I mean, just so much fun stuff here to use with werewolves in any setting, or Ravenloft. Very, very cool. Love it. Check it out under Blood of the Wolf in the links below. Give it a click. Next, we got Bloodied and Bruised, Tomb of Annihilation, or I cannot talk today. Tomb of Annihilation by Anne Gregerson, and it's $2.95 for 39 pages. And this is a part of a series that Anne has been releasing that really helps bring some different options to all the creatures that Wizards of the Coast has published for 5th edition. We've covered a number of these. We haven't been able to cover all of them, unfortunately, but they are out there. There's, I think, almost one for every single WotC supplement at this point, 5th edition official supplement. And what it is there was this sort of bloodied condition that was in 4th edition, and it's being brought back through these books to 5th edition. So if the creature gets to 50% health, this triggers, and then you deal with it as a new action, or a new, maybe something recharges, or there's a new trait, or some sort of change that happens to the creature that signifies, okay, this creature is going through it and things are changing for it in the middle of the battle. So it's not just the same abilities and actions throughout the whole combat. It's going to change halfway through if the party is successfully damaging the creature. And then there's also some death throw abilities. Different things will happen. You can see here in the examples, they got new abilities that come along, and then triggered abilities as well, and then death throws. So it's really cool. But as I said, there, these exist for almost every supplement. You can see the covers of them down here. So if you really want to have everything on hand as you run Tomb of Annihilation or any of the titles, you would grab this book, which is very inexpensive, I think, $2.95, and just have it ready, so that when you have these combats, you can bring in these conditions and just really make it different. Combat can last for a long time, and so having different things that are unexpected can really make it interesting, not only for the player, but for the DM, especially if you run this module more than once. I mean, sometimes running these modules takes weeks and weeks and weeks. And so if you run it a second time, you really need ways to make it different. The players are going to change it up, of course, but ways for you and your prep to make it different too. So this series can breathe new life into older books as well, I think. And then Anne also has loot books that give you loot for each of the creatures in the individual supplements as well. So as usual, there's a table of contents that has every single creature that is unique to that book, and then you also get in the book references to creatures that are in the monster manual. So then those are also profiled, so that you have literally everything with this one book that you need to bring about those conditions. So it talks in the beginning about the bloodied condition and how it works in the death throws, and then we start getting into some of the creatures. So for example, the 𝙬𝙬 says when bloodied at 142 HP, 𝙬𝙬 has the following features. It recharges its legendary actions. So when first bloodied, 𝙬𝙬 regains all expended uses of his legendary actions. Then there's a frailty called Fear of Death. While bloodied, 𝙬𝙬 can't benefit from his turn resistance ability. So that's a change, right? Then he gets a new ability, Cast Attack. While bloodied, if 𝙬𝙬 uses an action to cast a spell, he can make a melee attack as a bonus action. Then Strength, more legendary actions. While bloodied, 𝙬𝙬 can take 4 legendary actions each round instead of 3. And then triggered ability spellcasting. When first bloodied, 𝙬𝙬 can use his reaction to cast a spell that normally requires an action to cast. This reaction is limited to spells of 3rd level or lower. And then finally, we have some death throws. So active phylactery, violent soul transfer. The soul of 𝙬𝙬 is violently removed from 𝙬𝙬's body When he dies, surging outward to the safety of his phylactery, each creature within 30 feet of 𝘎𝙬𝙗, when he dies, feels an overwhelming cold clutching their bodies and must succeed on a con saving throw or be stunned. And then you've got, with their no active phylactery, upon facing his true death, 𝘎𝙬𝙗 wails in sorrow and fear. Each creature within 30 feet of 𝘎𝙬𝙗, when he dies, must make a con saving throw. On a failed save, a creature drops to 0 hit points. On a successful one, a creature takes 17 psychic damage. So cool that Anne has broken it out into, different options based on whether the phylactery is active or not. So that's just one example. And this is a big bad lich here, but there's little ones like the albino dwarf warrior as well, where it's just a triggered ability. So really cool. I think this is great. If I was DMing one of these adventures, I would definitely get this series just to supplement what's already in the book, and make it different. I mean, like I said, combat can last forever. Why not mix it up a little bit? And these are all well balanced. So check it out. It's under Bloodied and Bruised, Tomb of Annihilation, in the links below. Give it a click. Next, we have Classing It Up, Compelling Clerics, New Domains, Holy Symbols, and Prayer Beads by Beth Jones and Ange Sphere. And it is $2.95 for 22 pages. And it says, for too long, clerics have been relegated to a support class, helping others at the expense of their own role-playing and enjoyment. Now you can expand your horizons and play a cleric with some robust and varied powers. So there's a bunch of new domains, including Equilibrium, which is balanced for the true neutral, Elements, control of geography and weather along with traditional elements, Exploration, revel in new places and experiences, and a whole bunch more like Fellowship, Magic, Misfortune, Necrosis, etc. Plus a great new feature, the Holy Symbols and Prayer Beads, over a dozen new wondrous items that can enhance the abilities and features of almost any religious adherent. These are ready to enhance the role-playing opportunities at any table. So that could be really cool too. So you can see they're all listed here. Lots of fun ideas like spirit, sportsmanship, tyranny, winter. You can there could be a domain for almost anything. So it's nice to see that there are so many in here. So you've got Equilibrium domain. You get to see the whole book in the preview. So we're going to just do a quick scroll through so you can kind of get a feel for it. Beautifully laid out as usual. This is part of an ongoing series. They've done this for many of the classes, and I really enjoyed looking at all of them. And then you get toward the end and you got the magic holy symbols. So let's read a little bit about that. I think that sounds really interesting as well. So it says, Holy Symbol of Flame Quenching. It's a wondrous item common, requires attunement by a cleric who possesses the Winter Domain. Once per day, when the wearer of this holy symbol, or one or more creatures within 60 feet of the wearer that the wearer can see, takes fire damage, the wearer of the holy symbol can use a reaction to call upon the holy symbol's power. When they do so, all creatures that took fire damage immediately heal up to 15 points of fire damage. So that could be cool, really helpful, and it's thematic because, holy symbols can be kind of neglected, I think, in the game. So having these different little holy symbols that you can carry and maybe really role play with and say, oh, look, I have this little design that has this fist on it, or this silhouette of a running person, or whatever, right? And I'm going to hold that up, or I'm going to point to it on my garments, however you want to work it in. So really cool. So let's take a look at the stone domain here. It says, you have a unique bond with mountains, hills, and caverns. You can almost hear the stone singing its stories to you. The majestic view at the mountain's top takes your breath away, and the cool darkness of an underground cavern soothes your nerves. The deities associated with the stone domain are numerous and varied, and then it gives you some examples. And you get some spells that you have access to. You get a bonus proficiency, like in the sense that you gain the magic stone cantrip. And you can have this ability feature called non-conductive. So much like stone, your body does not conduct electricity well. You gain resistance to lightning damage, so that can be really helpful. And then your channel divinity is stone bones. As a bonus action, you present your holy symbol. So we looked at some of those, so you can have your actual holy symbol. For 1 minute, your bones and skin take on stone-like qualities, granting you resistance to non-magical bludgeoning and slashing damage. So again, very helpful, making you feel almost like you're made of stone because you're resisting this stuff. And then let's skip to the last level. There's some other cool abilities here, but at 17th, you gain a breath weapon. You can use your action to exhale a barrage of fist-sized stones. That's cool. So you can burp out a bunch of stones at people. Each time you use this feature, you can choose a 15-foot line or a 15-foot cone. All creatures in the area of your breath weapon can make a dex saving throw with DC equal to 8 plus your proficiency bonus plus your wisdom modifier. On a failed save, a creature takes 66 bludgeoning damage, or half as much on a successful save. You can use this feature a number of times equal to your proficiency bonus, and you regain all expended uses when you finish a long rest. Very cool. I like it. I like that it's not just like breathing fire. It's like breathing all these stones that are hurling at people. So you're literally hurling. That's really cool. And that's just one. You've got spirits, you've got prophecy, pandemonium. I mean, lots of things. And the beauty about domains is then you can tie them into deities, right? So if you have your own custom pantheon that you created, then you can tie some of these into it. Or you can connect them to existing gods, and they give you examples of that. So I love it. I'm a big fan of cleric domains and this series from Angela Sphere and Beth Jones. So check it out. It's under Classing It Up, Compelling Clerics, and the link's below. Give it a click. Next, we have Custom Carts Vehicle Customization Rules. It says hit the road with this magical mechanics guide for Dungeons and Dragons, and it is by Evan Noon and Felix Peters, $3.95 for 17 pages. It says it's time to hit the road with custom carts. From great traveling performers to humble farmers moving crops, carts and other land vehicles play an important role in any fantasy setting. There are always adventures with treasure to carry and trophies to display from their exploits. Custom carts allows players to transform their mundane vehicles into miraculous ones by hunting down different creatures and using their parts as the raw ingredients for fantastical vehicle upgrades. They're extremely modular, so players can swap them out on the road in order to make their vehicle truly all-terrain. Players can also use these rules to develop their vehicle alongside their adventures, reflecting their hard-won battles. So you get rules for customizing any land vehicle and with magical vehicle upgrades, over 50 vehicle upgrades to mix and match, each inspired by different types of monsters that adventurers will encounter, and simple step-by-step instructions for crafting vehicle upgrades and installing them onto vehicles. So I love that you get the upgrades, which the authors have created, that you can mix and match and use, and that are connected to different types of creatures. So, if you take out a certain type of creature, maybe you get the component you need to do this upgrade. But also they're giving you the step-by-step instructions to create your own upgrades. So that's especially good, because a lot of times it's mysterious how that happens. And then, you're sitting there thinking, gosh, I got to reverse engineer this stuff to be able to make my own. Well, in this case, you don't have to do that because they've done the work to give you the instructions, which is really nice. So, so you get to see 10 of these 17 pages, but you can see that the upgrades in this table of contents are broken out by creature type. So presumably, if you take down an ooze, then you would get maybe a component or something to help you do an ooze upgrade to a vehicle. So really cool. Goes into how to use it and how to maintain the carts and how to upgrade vehicles. So the steps are, you have to acquire your ride. So of course you have to have a vehicle, and then you have to determine the upgrade to make, and then gather the tools and materials and create the upgrade. It says with all of the requirements for creating specific upgrade met, that upgrade can be created within an hour of work, which can coincide with a long rest. Any materials that aren't tools are consumed upon its completion. Upgrades never go bad or expire, so they can be saved for the future. And then you have to install it. It can be immediately installed, and then you, of course, can ride off into the sunset. So when you get into the upgrades, it'll tell you what's required to make them. So presumably, again, with an aberration, you're going to need something that you've harvested from an aberration. So the first one is an aberrant anti-theft device, and it says prerequisite the ability to speak telepathically. Placing an aberration's brain in a jar within the vehicle can create a closed psychic network, taking advantage of the nearly ubiquitous psychic abilities of aberrant minds. A creature can use their action to synchronize with the aberrant anti-theft device. Up to 4 creatures can be synchronized at the same time. If a new creature becomes synchronized, one synchronized creature gets disconnected. A synchronized creature can use their action to telepathically see the vehicle, its inside, and a 5-foot area around it. Whenever a creature who is not synchronized to the aberrant anti-theft device enters any of those areas, those who are synchronized immediately receive a vision of the vehicle and the creature that provoked it. So that's super helpful. Yeah, I like that it's so fantastical. You know, it's not like they just reskinned a car alarm from real life and, oh, it beeps, right? No, they came up with this aberrations, brain in a jar, and the telepathic visions of what's happening. So it's very appropriate for the fantasy setting, ties into the aberrations. Very useful. You could even put your cart somewhere where you want to observe something without you being there, right? And so you could take advantage of your anti-theft device to maybe observe, maybe park it next to a gate. And so you see if somebody's coming through the gate because it's within 5 foot of the cart. So lots of uses for that, and it's fun, right? Having a brain in a jar. People are like, what is this brain sitting in your cart? So the role play opportunities plus all of the mechanics. And let's look at some of these other ones. So there's levitation runes. The ability to cast a transmutation spell of 2nd level or higher is your prerequisite. It says replacing the wheels with lodestones carefully engraved with transmutation spell circles allows the vehicle to gently hover 5 feet above the ground. The vehicle cannot have its speed lowered by difficult terrain, while not above solid ground such as liquid. The vehicle can remain hovering for up to 5 minutes before it must land. If the vehicle ever falls 5 feet or more, it gently descends toward the ground at a rate of 30 feet per round until it lands safely. So there's other ways here to make things, levitate. And this one doesn't necessarily involve a creature. It could be just, having transmutation spells and lodestones. So I see lots of opportunities with this, especially if you have a campaign where there's vehicles are really important. I know Spelljammers are vehicles, so these might even work with that. I'm not sure, but there's always vehicles, wagons, carts, fortune tellers, wagons, whatever, right? So having these could even be used to liven up some NPC vehicles, right? So you don't even have to have the characters find the aberration and get its brain. You could have an NPC that already has all this stuff, and they're just marveling at, wow, why does this cart levitate, and how did you make that happen? And then later maybe they inherit the cart and they have to figure out how all this works or whatever. So fun roleplay opportunities and cool new stuff under custom carts in the video description links. Give it a click. Next we have the Dread Space, which is a cool Spelljammer Ravenloft amalgamation, and it's got 10 space-themed domains of dread, and it's from the Black Feather, $9.99 for 115 pages. It says fly into the mist to the dread space, and it says from classical Illithid nightmare of Bluetspore now to the moon, to the red moon of madness of 𝙬𝙗𝙬. Explore the dark secrets of the Void Gate, investigate the mysterious call from help from the dead ship of Karnus, or I can't even say it. Canaris, maybe? I don't know. Anyway, some fun domains. They're listing all of them here. Really cool. It says with rich domain descriptions are also included each Dark Lord's stats, along with adventure hooks and campaign options to incorporate Spelljammer space elements into a Ravenloft campaign, or to bring the horrors of the Mist to a Spelljammer campaign. So this goes either way. You can bring a little bit of Spelljammer to Shadowfell and Ravenloft and all that, or you can take some terror from those places and bring it into Wild Space with Spelljammer. So really cool. I like the concept of this book a lot. So inside you can see it goes into like what the book is and how to use it, and then you get into each of the domains and more information. But the layout is beautiful. So you get to see 7 pages. So mostly we're getting, the history and how to use the book. So let's read a little bit about the tribe of the Aparusa. It says, the Vistani of the classic Ravenloft setting were not created to be player characters. The knowledge of the setting's secrets and mysteries is often incompatible with the role to be played by the players, who must be the protagonists and heroes of a horror story and unravel its secrets through their own acts of bravery. In addition, the mystical powers attributed to Vistani, such as the ability to travel safely through the mists and to know the rituals and secrets of the mists, also make them incompatible with the challenges that are proposed by the narrator. The ability to travel through the mist is not affected in dread space. From anywhere within the darkness of space, a 𝙀 can conjure the misty nebula to envelop a spelljamming ship and guide them through the mists. So you can see how they're working the 𝙀 characters into the spelljamming, maybe having them be the spelljammer, the one that's, helming the craft in wild space. It says, although a 𝙀 caravan can be found in any known domain, the most common 𝙀 tribe to be found in dread space are the tribe of Aparusa. 𝙀 organize themselves into tasks, tribes, and caravans. The tasks are like nations holding many tribes and sharing common myths and legends. Tribes are groups of 𝙀 linked by their ancestry, crafts, and traditions. Caravans are formed by 𝙀 from the same tribe who are united by ties of affinity and blood and are led by their Rowney. The Aparusa are a tribe of the 𝙀 from the task of the Bohème. As all tribes from the Bohemian, I guess, task, they believe that they were cursed to wander eternally for a distant tragedy, remembered only in their saddest and melancholy songs. I don't know how I butchered that word so bad. Anyway, it's a really cool tribe. It says they are also known as the Stargazers, and they believe that their destinies lie in the stars. Some claim that they can see the future by gazing at constellations, and that the darkness and silence of space whisper to them untold secrets of the universe. So lots of roleplay opportunities for the DM. If since 𝙀 are not going to be player characters necessarily, you could have a 𝙀 NPC that's causing the spelljammer to travel through wild space, and then you could have them talking about how they can see the future by looking at the constellations, and that they're hearing the space whisper to them. And that could be just really fun, because then the players have to figure out, is this legit? Are they really seeing this stuff or not? And maybe some of it comes true, maybe some of it doesn't. So you could have a lot of fun with that. But I love how beautiful this book looks, how much stuff is in here. I mean, so many domains. I mean, they're talking about the Bone Reef, which could be really cool. It says, experience the temporal inconsistencies of Clore, where the dying domain spirals to their doom. You can face the vampiric menace of the space vampires that thrives under Varen's fading sun. I mean, just so many cool places to go. If you want to maybe even start your Spelljammer adventure in Ravenloft and then go into wild space from there, this would be perfect, especially if you really want to just keep that horror theme going. So look for it in the video description links. It's under Dread Space. Give it a click. Next, we have Night of the Living Bread by Bethany Jupiter and Kai Linder. It's $2.98 for 13 pages, and it's a spooky gluten-intolerant murder mystery for 5th level characters. 7 people have died in the quaint little town of Millwood, and no one knows why. Found suffocated in their beds, there's been no signs of struggle, and the townsfolk can't figure out if they're afraid of a serial killer spreading sickness or a vengeful ghost. Little do they know, the town's baker has some malign magics and experimental baking techniques up his flour-dusted sleeves. So it's a 1 to 2 hour adventure for 5th level characters. The party will need to investigate the mysterious deaths by exploring Millwood and its people in the hopes of discovering and stopping the culprit before his ultimate bread monster can rise. That's so cool. I love this concept of dangerous bread. So this gives you a reason to avoid carbs, I guess. So it says, in which the party must investigate mysterious deaths. So they're going to be dealing with some mysterious deaths, and it tells you what everyone knows, what no one knows, and then it's got a character list. And I think the layout is really fun, like easy to read fonts and playful headings. We've even got a slice of bread for the page numbers there. So you got arrival, and you can see some of the little bread monsters and things that are going on. And then there's something called the clove farm and the florist. So let's read the arrival flavor text. It's just after sunrise when you arrive in the town of Millwood. The quaint town sits between rolling hills, wide fields of grazing cattle, and half-harvested wheat, and a forest ablaze with autumnal colors. The dirt road turns to cobblestone as you enter Millwood. There are suspiciously few townsfolk around for this time and season. You, the adventurers, come to help us out? A rotund, green-skinned tiefling with a thick brown mustache and brimmed hat comes jogging down the road towards you, carrying an old, but well cared for spear. I'm Sheriff Brown, he says, shaking each of your hands in turn. Glad to have your help with this. Why don't we head to my office so we can discuss the details? And so this tiefling guard is or sheriff is going to help you figure out what's at hand that you have to deal with. And there's a place called Wilbur's house you're going to have to go, and you're going to find out what happened to Wilbur, it looks like. And then you're going to follow the breadcrumbs, which is definitely pun intended here. You're going to go to the bakery, you're going to question the baker, going to look at clues and the clove farm, and then there's Clara Warburton, who was the town's florist and ran her shop out of the large garden in her home. When the party arrives at the florist's, her cat Wheatley slips out a cat flap in the door and meows at the party. Wheatley has a days-old injury on his ear, and Sheriff Brown says he hopes someone's been feeding him. Clara only died a few days ago, so her home still looks lived in, and the garden is lush with beautiful flowers. The only food in the house is half a too thinly sliced loaf of bread, which Wheatley hisses at and avoids. The sheriff jokes the cat would rather starve than eat the bread, but notes that the baker is a good man and it's good to support the local businesses. So you see the scene here that there's, some bread, which is a clue and some evidence. So the players are going to have to put together that the bread and the baker are the problem here, and that's why these people have been dying. So I think this could be really fun. I love the cheeky title, Night of the Living Bread. That's really fun too. So only $2.98 to get this fun little adventure. You could even maybe have some bread that you serve during the adventure at your table, just breadsticks or some garlic bread or something, and they'll look twice at it because it's the murder weapon here, it looks like. So check it out. It's under Night of the Living Bread in the links below. Give it a click. Next, we've got Saving Commodore Krux, a Spelljammer adventure from Daniel Kahn and Dana Floberg. It's $3.95 for 12 pages, and it says, after arriving on the Rock of Brawl in Light of Zyxis Chapter 4, Captain Sartell instructs the party to seek out Commodore Krux for the next phase of their adventure. In the book, Commodore Krux is simply waiting for them at the Happy Beholder. In this adventure, Commodore Krux has gone missing, and the party must embark on a daring adventure to rescue him. So this is really like an expansion of what you get in the Spelljammer box set. So presumably you'll need that in order to play this. And basically it's just a tweak to Chapter 4 to make it a little more fun and exciting. Instead of him just standing there waiting for you, you got to find him. It says the purpose of this adventure is to give the party more opportunities to interact with the Rock of Brawl and its inhabitants, as well as to build significant relationships with Krux and his crew. In addition, the adventure introduces a plasmoid gang called the 𝘬𝙑𝑒𝑚𝑖𝑏𝑟os to add more depth to the criminal underworld of the Rock of Brawl. So yeah, it'll also going to flesh out the location and just make it a little bit more fun. It's got combat, exploration, and social opportunities. And you can see here in these previews a really fun map that I like and will help you with the Rock of Brawl as well. But looking inside, this is some really fun, playful artwork in here. You get some adventure hooks, an introduction. So it says, for the adventure hooks, the crux of the issue, the primary hook for this quest follows the main plot of Chapter 4. The party arrives at the Rock of Brawl and is sent looking for Commodore Krux, a veteran Gith who once clashed with the Astral Elves and who might be able to help the characters save their home world. In this scenario, Krux is missing instead of enjoying a drink at the Happy Beholder when the party goes looking for him. But then there's another option. If you're not running Light of Zyxis, so it turns out you don't need the box set. I mean, you might need some of the rules from it, I guess, but you don't necessarily need the adventure. You can use the following adventure hook instead. A representative of the Mages Guildhall has grown suspicious that the influx of genetically modified pets among the Rock's elite has something to do with Dr. Myra Undercomet, a scientist recently expelled from the guild for her unethical experiments and subsequently hired by a shady gang known as the 𝘬𝙑𝑒𝑚𝑖𝑏𝑟os. The Guildhall was working with Commodore Krux to investigate, but he seems to have gone missing, so the Guildhall hires the party to find him. Alternatively, you could substitute another NPC of your choosing for Commander Krux or Commodore Krux. So yeah, maybe you run both of these adventures and you want to have this one be like a separate adventure. Maybe they go back to the Rock of Brawl, so you could put a different NPC. It doesn't have to be Commodore Krux. It could be anybody. So that's really cool. I think giving you another faction to deal with on the Rock of Brawl. giving you some maps for that location, and really just expanding things is cool. So check it out. It's under Saving Commodore Krux in the links below. Give it a click. Next, we have Tales of the Raven from 𝙤𝙤𝙤𝙬𝙯 𝙤𝙤𝙤𝙯. It's $3 for 38 pages. It says the Raven is a renowned jungler who travels the Sword Coast, visiting villages and towns at the time of the Feast of the Moon. The adventurers are present when the Raven visits Phandalin and are drawn in by the stories that the Raven spins. A spooky series of encounters with a twist for characters of 1st to 9th level set in the Forgotten Realms. So you get 3 encounters, 11 unique NPCs, 12 creatures, 4 of which are new, and 3 high-quality maps. So fun stuff. You've got part 1, part 2, part 3, part 4, and part 5. So endings, and then you got an appendix with the creatures. Looks like some fun creatures. So you get background and with some maps. And then, you're encountering this Raven, and there's lots of flavor text to read, and then some really cool maps of a location. Looks like stagecoach in there. This is dealing with the ghost hunters, and then those pesky kids. So all kinds of fun little adventures here. We'll read a little bit in a second, but you get to see the whole book. So I'm just scrolling super fast. You can get kind of an idea of what in store for you. So all the stat blocks at the end there. And then, of course, all these fun maps and adventures for you. So always just the complete package with 𝙤𝙤𝙤𝙤𝙤𝙠. You get the maps, you get just such detail and everything fleshed out. So here's the beginning flavor text, which will hopefully give you a feel for everything. So the preparations for the Feast of the Moon had dominated Phandalin for the last 10 days. The streets were draped with colorful bunting, and some of the houses had been decorated with fake webs. The night before the feast, the Raven arrived in Phandalin. The renowned storyteller was greeted with the squeals of delight by the children of the town and distributed sweet treats to the entourage that grew around them as they made their way to the Stonehill Inn. The day of the feast went well, and everyone enjoyed the celebrations and town meal in the town square. After the meal was cleared away, the Ravens set themselves up on the stage that had been prepared. Everyone gathered round, children and adults alike, as the jungler delved into the repertoire of festive tales. So you've got the storyteller. You might even be able to even reuse this character of the Raven to have some other stories later on. But let's read a little more. It says, the Raven looks up from the crowd and stares directly towards where you are all seated. Their silky voice reaches your ears. Their heads grew heavy, and their sight grew dim. As the words of the Raven wash over you, you realize that you are finding it difficult to focus, and you are overcome with the waves of exhaustion. With the start, you find yourself seated around a table in the Stonehill Inn with no recollection of how you got there or even knowing for sure what day it is. Sat at the other end of the table is a well-dressed individual with black hair, piercing azure blue eyes, a gray-black beard, and a rather pale complexion. Ah, thank you for joining me. I am in desperate need of your services. So yeah, this mysterious figure, the Raven, that messes with the party and transports them against their will to this location. That could be a pretty cool, interesting intro to the adventure. And find out about all these things they're going to have to deal with, including some ghost hunters and pesky kids, it says. So yeah, I think there's just a lot of fun in here for $3 to get 38 pages. That's a screaming deal, especially just the maps. I mean, $3 for usable maps is reasonable as it is. So just imagine all the other stuff you're getting with these maps too. So check it out. It's under Tales of the Raven in the links below. Give it a click. Next we have the Voidfarer's Guide to Fashion Week from the Illuminati, Illuminati, and $1.99 for 24 pages. So good amount of stuff for only $1.99. I love that. And it says, this little supplement delivers a new line of fall fashions for spacefaring characters, each page featuring an illustrated item handout for a wondrous new outfit that, like the fish suit in the Astral Adventurer's Guide or the survival mantle in the Volo's Guide to Monsters, allows you to breathe in the vacuum of space. So you get things like the ant suit, the cricket suit, the crow suit, cuddle suit, etc. And then proceeds benefit Outright International. So we're donating all proceeds to Outright International. It's a 501c3 nonprofit dedicated to working with partners around the globe to strengthen the capacity of LGBTIQ plus human rights movement, document and amplify human rights violations against LGBTIQ plus people, and advocate for inclusion and equality. The organization supports activism through strategic advice, training, funding, networking, and crisis response. It's currently trying to help LGBTQ plus people in Ukraine. So very good cause. Let's look at the interior. And, this Spelljammer's out, right? So people are exploring space and doing different things. So having these fun little space suits could be really cool. And I want to just zoom out so you can see the artwork and then the description, because these are really cool. So you've got this really futuristic looking sci-fi style ant suit, and then all of the abilities on the side, and then the cricket suit and the crow suit. I mean, Keen Hudson is doing some really good artwork here. Look at that. Just beautiful. Frog suit. It really resembles, what the creature that inspired it looks like as well. So you got a magpie suit. That's really cool. Love that. Tarot suit, raven suit. So much fun stuff. And I love how it's all on the page. So you could even print this, once the character knows what all the abilities are, you could just print the page and the character can see, or you could, hold it up and cover some of the words. But, so this is a wondrous item, requires attunement. And it says it's light armor. It says the magpie suit can't be worn with other kinds of armor. It says while wearing the hat, you can use an action to cast a disguise self spell from it at will. And then the sonic dampener collar. This device grants the wearer resistance to thunder damage and resistance to spells and effects that would cause the deafened condition. So, and because they're showing you different parts of this, you could have the character gain these parts over time. If you might have to tweak the attunement a little bit and figure out how that's going to work, but you could have them have to assemble these suits as well. So sonic dampener color, we talked about that. And then we got the air bubble generator. The suit allows you to innately cast air bubbles self only as a bonus action. Chronometer, this device displays a current date and time. Leather armor, the magpie suit counts as studded leather armor. And collapsible arm-mounted silver talon and war wand. And it says rifting harness. This device allows the wearer to innately cast plane shift once per day. And cloak of protection grants a +1 bonus to AC and saving throws. So really cool. And then it says the Magpie Society here. So let's read about that. A semi-secret society of diverse spellcasters from across the plains, the Magpie Society's shadowy multiverse operations seem to revolve around a healthy mix of high-profile musical performances, random acts of heroism, and regular magical artifact theft. The Magpies, usually archmages, utilize a device called Rifting Harness to traverse the plains and are notoriously hard to pin down. It is believed their base of operations is on Sigil, but none can say for sure. Many Magpie Society bards maintain iambus ships of their preferred instruments and hire crews containing many bards and illusionist wizards. So pretty cool. So you could even encounter these on third-party factions, that you have to deal with as you travel through little NPC groups. So yeah, this could be really fun. And there's just so many different armors in here. The skeleton suit here, the space plate, the survival mantle. So you're really getting to see almost the whole book here. You got the zoot suit. So I think this could be so much fun for you to play around with. And, like I said, it can be put on an NPC. You can find pieces of it, assemble it together. Maybe the big bad wants you to put this suit of armor together for them, and then you realize they're bad, and so then you maybe put it on and fight the big bad. I don't know. And proceeds are going to charity, so that's always good too. So check it out. It is under the Voidfarer's Guide to Fashion Week in the links below. Give it a click. Well, that was our last new release for the week. Let me talk about our exclusive discount for next week at 10 a.m. Mountain Standard Time is when we announce those at Splinterverse everywhere, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. If you're following us, you'll get access to those discounts and can take advantage of them before they're gone, because a lot of them only last about a week and then they're gone. So this one is called Doom Desert in the Decanter of Delirium, and it's a psychedelic adventure for characters levels 2 to 3, and it's by Watcher DM, $3.99, and authors Austin Holm, Gabriel Hernandez, and it's for players 4 to 6 players, levels 2 to 3, a length of 4 to 8 hours. And it says the Doom Desert in the Decanter of Delirium is an exotic OSR romp through a mysterious world of riddles, puzzles, inscrutable citizens, and it's 5th edition compatible. It's a love letter to psychedelia and is vivid and beautiful, has exciting and surreal. Get wrapped up in the conversation with the dead drunks at the last saloon on Earth, solve the Sphinx riddle, and discover the secrets of the ziggurat, or break bread and wine with whispering harpies or the sun itself. So really fun, psychedelic adventure. It's normally $3.99, but it's going to be not that price because we're going to have that Splinterverse discount for you. So I'm excited for you to get this title at a discount because it is really cool. I mean, just look at the art on that cover. Just so fun and emblematic of what awaits you inside and how fun it's going to be. And we're going to deep dive next week into this one as well. So make sure you're following us everywhere for that so you can get access to that discount. And these discounts are not offered anywhere else. So very, very important to follow us. Well, thank you so much for watching. Please subscribe to the channel, leave a comment and a like for the algorithm. I'll respond to all comments personally. Share the video on your social media, get it out there to friends so we can help more people find out that these books are out there. A lot of people don't even realize how many third-party options there are, and so this series aims to help people find books that may have once been a new release but are no longer new releases, and now if you don't know the right thing to search for, you can't find them. So this gives you that option to review them later. You can follow along with me on your Roku or your Fire Stick or your computer or even your phone and just take notes on which titles you like, etc., or click the links that we have. And if you click those links, not only are you going to be supporting these awesome creators, and I hope you click all the links this week and purchase all the books, but you're also going to support us because any shopping you do after you click those links is going to result in a small affiliate fee for the channel. So we really appreciate when you do your shopping with us. And if you want to take it a step further in your support, you can go to splinterverse.com or the video description links and look at all the great books that we've released, the 6 titles we have on offer. And we have a Dragonlance title coming very, very soon. We're getting so close to it now. I can't wait for you to see it. It's massive. So much stuff for players and DMs in there. So stay tuned if you want to go to Krynn with us very soon. But in the meantime, we've got Swarms of the Multiverse, Feywild Companion, Fizban's Vault of Draconic Secrets, Potions Unlocked, and more available for you at our website, splinterverse.com, or in those links in the video description. So please check those out and consider supporting us through those. And if you get any of our books, let us know what you think. We're always looking for feedback and your thoughts. So thank you so much. If you're a creator watching this week, just be sure to take notes on your ideas. Sometimes you're in the middle of a project and you have ideas for another one. Stay focused on your project, but write those notes down somewhere, whether it's an app on your phone or a little notepad on your computer, Notepad++, or, just even a generic text file, whatever it is. Document those notes and then get back on task. But I will say sometimes if you're feeling really blocked on a project, another tactic to keep your momentum and keep you moving forward is to put down one project and work on the other project as a break. As long as you feel like you're not going to prevent your projects from getting released in doing that, that could be a technique. J. Michael Straczynski, a well-known writer of things like Babylon 5, he does that. He will write on something, and when he gets blocked or just hits the wall, he'll stop writing on that, take a break, go write on something else for a little bit, and that sort of refreshes him, and then he can come back and write again. So you might try that if you're feeling particularly blocked and you want to make sure that you're continuing to move forward. Most people don't have somebody there cracking the whip and saying, you got to get this done, you got to get this done. But you can do it. You can be that person. You can crack the whip and get your project done. So don't let anything get in your way. Be the hero of your own story. And for all of you, thank you for watching and supporting this series and the channel. I really appreciate it. And until next time, happy adventuring.